Om Shri Sairam. We have with us Chiranjeevi Deepak Vaidyanathan. He's an engineering undergrad, but trained in Upanyasam with profound knowledge in the scriptures. Uh, Today he's going to give an Upanyasam on Sita Kalyanam. Over to dear Chiranjeevi Deepak.
Hi Ramji. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda. Sadguru Maharaj ki jai. Shrikanto Matulo Yasya Janani Saramangala. Janakaha Shankaro Devaha Tam Vande Kunjaranam. वागीशाद्या सुमनस सर्वातानावक्रमे यन्नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिः स्फटिकमणिमयीमक्षमालां ददानां हस्तेनैकेन मद्वंसितमशुकं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासां कुन्देन्दुशङ्कस्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतवदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखा वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वाल्मीके मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानाथं कोनयाति पराङ्गतिम् आञ्जनेयमतिपाटलानं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं यत्र यत्र गुणातिकीर्तनं तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमता च शान्तकं मनोजवं मारुतुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं வாதாத்மஜம் வானரயூதமுக்கியம் ஸ்ரீராவதூதம் சிரசா நமாமி அஞ்சிலே ஒன்று பெற்றான் அஞ்சிலே ஒன்றை தாவி அஞ்சிலே ஒன்றாராக ஆவிற்காக அஞ்சிலே ஒன்று பெற்ற அணங்கை கண்டு அயலாரூரில் அஞ்சிலே ஒன்றே வைத்தாள் அவன் நம்மை அழித்து காப்பான் சிறையே நமஹா ஜானகி காந்தஸ்மரணம் ஜெய ஜெய ராம ராம சத்குரு சுவாமினஹா ஜெய் ஆஞ்சநேய சுவாமினஹா ஜெய். By the grace of Bhagavan, we are fortunate to do a series Upanyasam on Ramayana in Navaha form. As in the previous Upanyasam, we have seen the birth of Lord Rama. Due to yaga, due to the performance of Putra Kameshti yaga, God himself has decided to be born as Dasarada's son. Pitaran Brochaya Masa Tata Dasaratam Dripam. Then under the tutelage of Vasishta, Sarve Sarvavitas Suraha, Sarve Lokahite Rataha, Sarve Jnanopasampannaha, Sarve Samudita Gunehi, which Valmiki says by describing the four children. All these four were Amshas of Lord Vishnu. And except Rama, amidst these four children, Rama is the Purna avatar of Lord Vishnu. And his attendant Adishesha came as Lakshmana to show how to serve God with sheer devotion. To show that he was born as this, he was born as is incarnate as Lakshmana. And for some people, they have less time to serve God because lot of worldly matters they have to engage, and lot of problems they have to incur as per the prarabdha karma. So they can't wholeheartedly serve towards God. In that, God has incarnated as Bharata to show how a true Bhagavata has to be. As a person who is always with Bhagavan, he has lot of time. But in case of Bharata, in case of Bhagavata, wherever I stand, wherever I eat, I would always contemplate on Bhagavan. That shows the bhakti of Bharata. That shows how a true Bhagavata has to be. That's why Bhagavan came as Bharata. And I can't wholeheartedly contemplate on God because I have less time. And I can't even perform what a Bhagavata does to Bhagavan and how he serves Bhagavan. That I can't do that. So it's better. Let me have an association with a Bhagavata. That shows Shatrughna. That shows Shatrughna Alvar. That God himself has incarnated Shatrughna to show four stages and four different types of bhakti God has himself incarnated as four brothers. Sarve Sarvavida Shuraha, Sarve Lokahiterataha. Under the tutelage of Vashishta Maharishi, they were well versed in Shastras, they were well versed in archery, and they were well versed in all the subjects the king has to know in order to attain the kingship. All these four were well versed, and at that time, Dasaratha was very worried because all these four children have reached, they were around 12 and 13 years. And in those days, that is the correct age for a person to get married. That time he was thinking, Chintayamasa Dharmatma Sopadhyayaha Sabandavaha. And he was thinking, how can I answer my relatives? They would be continuously pricking me. You can't even afford to marry your children. Like that, they will be giving hundreds and thousands of comments. What shall I do? In that state, Vishwamitra, Dasaratha was very tensed. And that time, Tasya Chintayamanasya Mantri Madhye Mahatmanaha Abhyagachan Mahateja Vishwamitro Mahamunihi. At that moment, Abhyagachan Mahateja Vishwamitro Mahamuni. A great revered sage Vishwamitra appeared in front of Dasaratha. And when he heard of Vishwamitra's arrival, suddenly Dasaratha, along with his troops and along with his subjects, along with his ministers, they welcomed him with Purna Kumbha. That shows that how we must greet the elders. That is the dharma which we have to adhere from Ramayana. Starting from Balaganda. Don't go to Rama's service towards the Maharshis. It starts from Balaganda. Abhyagachan Mahateja Vishwamitro Mahamuni. And he has greeted them with great respect. And by looking at Vishwamitra, he praised Yata Mritasya Sampraptihi, Yata Varsha Manodake, Yata Satrisa Dhareshu, Putra Janma Pratasyacha, Yata Amritasya Sampraptihi. It is like I have engulfed the Amrita by looking at you, by looking at your effulgence, by looking at your tejas, Yata Varsha Manodake. It is like, what can I say? What elaborately I can say is Yata Varsham Nudake. For places which are suffered in drought, in those places, suddenly Varuna Bhagavan showered mercy and outpoured rain in that place. How the place would be, how the place would be, and how the people, how the reaction you will see on people's face. Everyone will be overjoyed. Like that, I could see the bliss. And I'm very overjoyed by your arrival. Yata Sadrisha Dareshu. Putra Janma Bhatasyacha. And he praised Vishwamitra. And suddenly he welcomed him with due respect and offered him Argyam and offered him the seat for him to sit. For him to sit. And all the respects Vishwamitra he gave to Maharshi Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra in turn praised Dasaratha that you have come from a very good lineage because preceptor of the family is Vashishta, your preceptor. And the head of the family from Surya Bhagavan, you have descended from Surya Bhagavan. So all the credit goes to Surya Bhagavan as well as your preceptor Vashishta Maharshi. And they both have started a conversation. Then Vishwamitra had one desire. What was his desire? What was inherent desire is he wanted to marry. He wanted Rama to get married. That is one desire I can say. Another problem is the current scenario is at that time many Maharshis and many sages they were all tortured. They were all butchered by the Rakshasas. They had no sense of mercy with them. And when they're performing yajna, when they're performing an ahuti, when they're performing agnaye swaha, agnaye idanna mama, like that, they're performing a mantra. At that time, those Rakshasas came and they have engulfed the whole Maharshis. And who's there to perform yajna? And and during the yajna, while they were performing the sacrifice, they throw the bones in that sacrifice. Lot of problems the rishis they were facing, which he addressed to the Dasaratha. And Dasaratha was very daring. And he told and he consoled Maharshi that, don't worry, I am there, no. I can face, I can single handedly combat with those Rakshasas, which I supported the Devas during my war with Sambarasura. And similarly, I can counterattack them. And he also said, and Vishwamitra said, they were far powerful than your Sambarasura. And it is impossible for you single handedly to face those big Rakshasas. And Dasarada was thinking, and he was worried at the same time that his sons, Rama, and all the four children, they were very, very young. Una Shodasa Varsho me Ramo Rajiv Lochana. They didn't cross 16 years. They didn't cross 16. And how could they single-handedly combat those Rakshasas? And that too, the Rakshasas they have a special power. At night time, if you combat with them, they will combat ferociously and vigorously. To withstand them, they must have that much vigor and that much steadfast to fight with the Rakshasas, which these four children were lagging. And how could you expect them to combat with those Rakshasas? Inherently was thinking about that. And Vishwamitra, he questioned Vishwamitra that you are having lot of powers. Better kill them. And he said, and Vishwamitra in turn said, what's the point in killing those Rakshasas? If I kill those Rakshasas, whatever the tapas and whatever the wealth I have acquired by lot of practices, everything will go waste. Everything will be in vain. So my prime duty is Garbhabhuta Tapodanaha. In Aranyakantam, those Maharshis say that they couldn't control and they couldn't tolerate the torture given by the Rakshasas. Garbhabhuta Tapodanaha. I'm protecting my tapas like how a mother protects the pregnant child during pregnancy, how the mother protects. The similar way I protect my tapas. So I can't waste my tapas in just killing those Rakshasas. And I wanted to request you that can you please send your child Rama, your first child Rama, to for the Yaga Samrakshana. Can you please send? And he requested. And that time Dasarada told verbally to Guna Sodasa Varshome Ramo Rajiva Lochana. He sinned 16 and how can he combat with those Rakshasas? And he was speaking sentimentally. And Vishwamitra thought that if I speak sentimentally, then it will be difficult for him to convince him. It is hard to convince him. And better, the only way to collapse him, then the only way to fumble him is by telling Rama as a Paramatma Vastu. By telling Rama as a Paramatma Vastu as prescribed in the Vedas, then Dasarata's head will turn 180 degrees. And then he will be convinced to give Rama. He will be convinced to send Rama along with me. And this is except from Purusha Suktam. As we know that Vedaha Vedam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasa Parasta. In a similar fashion, Vishwamitra said, Aham Vedmi Mahatmanam Ramam Satyaparakramam Vasishtobi Mahatejaha Eche me Tapasistitaha Aham Vedmi Mahatmanam. And he said, Aham Vedmi, I know better than you. In this small line, many commentators have given lot of meanings. As Vishwamitra mentioned his status, that I do tapas and I sit in the darba grass. So I'm highly qualified to speak about Rama. Since you are seated in the throne, you are not qualified to speak about Rama. Since you are his father, biological father, you might worry about him, but you don't have the authority to say that Rama is Paramatma, which I have compared to you. Aham Vedmi Mahatmanam. And I am, right now I am Brahma Rishi. Before that I was a Raja Rishi. By accumulation of tapas I have attained the stage of Brahma Rishi. So I have the right and I can comment about Rama. Since you are a Raja and yet you have to be a Raja Rishi. You are in that stage. You have to be ripened. So you can't comment about Rama. Aham Vedmi Mahatmanam. And I have given the world, I always think about the world. and I always think about the welfare of the world. And by my tapas, I give them good. So I have right to think about Rama. Aham Vetmi Mahatmanam. And apart from you, you may think about the world, but 80%, 90% you always think about your son Rama. So you don't have the qualification to speak about Rama as a Paramatma. Aham Vetmi Mahatmanam. Like that, many commentators given hundreds of commentaries based on this small sloka. Aham Vetmi Mahatmanam, Ramam Satya Parakramam. And he mentioned the quality, the highest attribute of Rama is Ramam Satya Parakramam. He always protects the truth and he never strays away from Dharma. Vashishtopi Mahateja. If and he is really puzzled. He looked at the puzzled look of Dasaratha and to convince him, you must show him the expert. That is the Prasaktar Vasishta Maharshi. Vashishtopi Mahateja. Any doubts, if you any queries if you have, better refer Vasishta. Vasishtopi Mahateja, Eche me tapasisita. Those big tapasvis like Vasishta can only understand you, can only understand Rama, which Vishwamitra told firmly, and he got collapsed. Dasaratha got collapsed, and slowly with the help of Vasishta as well as his trusted ministers, he has regained his consciousness. And then he requested Vishwamitra and further requested that he wanted Rama, which he retaliated again. And then Vashishta in between came as a mediator and pacified Dasaratha that it's correct, it's better you send Rama, because Vishwamitra Maharshi he was a very big rishi. He's a very big rishi, and he always thinks about the welfare of this world. For such cases, he wanted to bless Rama by indulging him in his own activities. So, if he's under him, if he's under his tutelage, if he's under his mentorship, then all the things, all the good things will happen at place. Then you must not worry about it. And then he got convinced with this half-hearted mind. He sent Rama and Lakshmana, and along with Vishwamitra, they all went. It and Valmiki Maharshi said that the three people who have left just now left the kingdom was like Lord Paramesh, Lord Shiva, along with uh, along with his two children Ganapati as well as with Subramanya. It was like that in Valmiki's context. Then the three people went, and that time they were traveling that Kamashrama. That is the place which is 1.5 kilometers away from Ayodhya. Once they entered the Kamashrama, and that time Vishwamitra started the story of Manmata. Kandarpo Murtiman Asit, Kandarpaha Murtiman Asit. He started that Murtiman Asit, Kama Ityuchate Budehi, Ashari Irakrita Kamaha, Krodha Deveshwarenahi, Kandarpo Murtiman Asit. Kandarpaha Murtiman Asit. Here he started Kandarpaha, name of Manmata. Kama Ityuchate Budehi. Many people call him Kama because he's god of love. To those people, he gives love. So the Devas, they had a plan to unite, to elope Parvati and Parameshwara. And Parvati that time was born as a daughter of Himalayas. And Parameshwara was 24 bar 7 engaged in dhyana. He always contemplates on Rama. As Bhagavad Pada said in Rama Bhujanga Prayata Stotam, Yada Karna Mule Hrityantakale, Shivo Rama Rameti Rameti Kashyam, Tadekam Param Tarakam Brahma Rupam, Bajeham 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 Bajeham. The Tarekam Param. And he stays in Kashi, he resides in Kashi, and he plays the role of son to those who are deceased. Yada Karna Mule Hrityantakale. To those people who have deceased, and one person has to be there to give them a karna mantra, and no sons were there. They were ready to cremate this person, and that time Parameshwara, out of mercy, out of sheer compassion, Shivo Rama Rameti Rameti Kashyam, Parameshwara acts as his son, and he utters Ramanama to those who have deceased. Tadekam param tarakam brahma rupam. And that nama, that Ramanama, it plays a significant role to reduce, to eradicate, to remove us from the samsara sagara, from this samsara, ocean of samsara. Bhajeham, 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 bhajeham. To that nama, I prostrate, which Acharya said in Rama Bhujanga Prayada Stotram. Like that, Parameshwara was continuously contemplate on Rama. He was continuously doing dhyana to the person who is obsessed in meditation. What is the way to bring him in attention? Better distract him. If a person keeps a timer and does meditation, what is the way to call him for conversation? Distract him. Just wake him up. The same way the Devas came in some agenda and they wanted to use a lower hierarchical person. That is Manmata, who is a subordinate to them. And whatever problems they have, they use Manmata. Which the Devas pleaded Manmata that I will give you a big heap of money. The best way is you go and disturb Parameshwara. That is the biggest task we have, the board of directors have decided. So better you go. Which they all coaxed Manmata to disturb Parameshwara's tapas, penance. Which Manmata, he was very planned, he was accurate. He entered that Kamashrama, which Vishwamitra told Rama. He's narrating the story. That he entered this place and that time he saw Parameshwara. And his Varnana comes in and how he looks was totally given in Tulasi Ramayana. He was very white in, he was white as snow. And with the matted locks, and on his matted locks, right side, you see the crescent, and another side, you see Ganga overflowing on his locks. And he was steady in tapas. And by looking at him, Manmata developed bhakti. He didn't even know what to do. But the Devas at the backside caused him to pierce one arrow, disturb him, disturb him. And what does his arrows contain? Which we all have a question. His arrows contain all the all of this arrows contains flowers, which are of high fragrance. And by looking at Parameshwara, he has fixed his aim, and suddenly he hurled the arrow. And that time Parameshwara just woke up, and his third eye automatically turned, and suddenly Manmata was reduced into ashes. And that place is Kamashrama. And because of Rati Devi's prayers, and because of Kartikeya Burga Paraman's Thiru Avatara, because of his incarnation, all the Devas and Rati Devi, they all begged Parvati as she wanted her husband. For them to get married, they did a very big sacrifice. So, and that in that place, Rati Devi is a widow. To answer her boons, suddenly Parvati blessed him, and she had made Manmata back, restored Manmata back into his life. And that has happened later, which in the Kamashrama, Parameshwara reduced Manmata into ashes. And by telling that story, Rama listened with great reverence. And in that place, all the rishis, they were performing yajna, and they couldn't come there. And it was pin drop silence. No one were there. Everyone were in their own hut. And when they meet them, they all told them to come inside their house. And they all told their problems. And they all cried that they couldn't do yajna in solitude. And they couldn't do the sacrifice. And they couldn't offer the grains to the devatas. As Bhagavan said in Gita, Devan bhavayata neva, te deva bhavayantuha, parasparam bhavayantaha, shreyaha param avapsyata. As Bhagavan said the cycle, that if we perform the yajna, te deva bhavayantuha, and the devas get by using Agni Bhagavan as a courier. That's why we offer all the things into the fire. Why you offer all the things in the fire? Because The Agni Bhagavan receives as a courier and he transports it to all the Devatas. And they give us abundant blessings to us. That is the purpose of doing yajna. But right now we do just to follow the karma, just to follow the rules. We are doing yajna. And for a person to do a sacrifice, he must be mentally as well as spiritually stable for him to do yajna. And he must his mind must be inclined, and he must use the correct amount and the correct proportion of the ghee to oblate to the fire, and all the things has to be used wisely. These are the rules mentioned in dharma. In Vedas it has been mentioned. Everything were there, but we can't do it because we don't have the power and we don't have the time to do. That's why in Kali Yuga they have said Kalotat Hari Kirtanat. In Kali Yuga, the best way to offer Bhagavan, to pray to Bhagavan is do Hari Kirtan. Chant Bhagavan's divine Nama. That is the way, whatever the efforts and whatever the credit which you get while doing yajna, while doing sacrifice, you get it by doing Nama, by chanting Nama. And here the rishis, they were ready to do yajna, but they can't do it before because of the Rakshasas' arrival. They arrive at some other time. They arrive at the time when they perform yajna. So they all have mounted a homakunda in their home and they started doing yajna privately. And all were crying, all were lamenting, that telling the problems to Vishwamitra. On at that place, they all waited. And they asked who was the chief proprietor for who's causing the attack in this Kamashama. And they told that she was none other than Tataka. And they all narrated the story of Tataka. And that time there was a big Yaksharaja. He performed 1,000 years of tapas to get a boon from Brahma. And he had an inherent desire that he wanted to bestow a son whose power is equal to 1,000 elephants. And he wanted the son and wanted his son that he can rule the entire world, which he had the inherent desire. And by 1,000 years of tapas penance, suddenly Brahma appeared and he asked him for a boon, that he wanted to bestow a son. And Brahma said that in your karma, it is said that you have to begot a girl child, and she will be equal to what the boon which you have asked and which you have did on the basis of your tapas. And you will beget a girl child. And later he named her as Tataka. And she was very fierce. She was physically strong. And suddenly another Yaksha named Sunda, he fell in love with her, and suddenly both of them got married. Arranged love marriage. Then both of them got married, and Sunda was equally fierce compared to Tataka. They both were fierce, and they both have a same blood. And suddenly they begot two children and named them Maricha and Subahu. And Sunda had a very bad habit. He would always engage in controversies, especially with those Maharshis. And all the Maharshis complained to Agastya about their problem. And Agastya said that I will create a situation in such a way that Sunda will behave the same manner to you people. How we behaved in the same manner, to me, I will create a situation. And at that moment, he has waited. Agastya has waited. The same time had came. And that time, Sunda fiercely pounced on Agastya. And Agastya somehow managed to Sunda. And he cursed him to death. And his death revelation went to Tataka and across all the Yaksha clan. And she became fierce along with Maricha and Subahu to counter-attack to revenge Agastya, who was responsible for her husband's death. And they both counter-attacked him the same way Sunda came. And at that time, Agastya cursed them that since you are a woman, your dharma is you have to be calm. Since you have swayed away from your dharma, You three will be cursed as cannibals who devour all the human beings, who would only devour on human beings, which they cursed him in which he cursed them in return, and they were devouring all the rishis who were performing yajna, who were performing the yaga, and they were creating a threat, havoc, terror in that Kamashrama, and under Vishwamitra's supervision, Rama he had forced Rama and Lakshmana to counterattack Tataka, and at the time came everyone were inside the hut, and the Rakshasas came to their home immediately. And when the night time had come, at that time Tataka came, and Rama was very hesitant looking at Tataka's arrival. By his fierce arrows, he has invited Tataka into Kamashrama. By inviting her, and Rama was really initially hesitant that Namesh Trivada Krite Gnakaryam Rottama. He was really hesitant. He has pulled back his bow. That why should I fight with Tataka? She's a mere woman. And what's the point in starting my first war with a woman? And he questioned Vishwamitra mentally, but he didn't question verbally. But he had a doubt. And Vishwamitra, looking at his hesitance, he told, Namesh Trivada Krite. She's not a woman. Grina Karya Narottama. And don't sway away from it. Chaturvanyam Hitataya. One word he has told. Chaturvanyam Hitataya. You're doing it. You're doing it for the welfare of the four classes in the system. If I say Chaturvanyam, lot of speculation, lot of controversies are taking place. Because as Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita has put forth the correct definition of Chaturvanyam in 6th chapter. Chaturvanyam Maya system. Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. Tasya Kartar Vibham Vitti Kartar. Sorry, 4th chapter. Vitti Kartar Mabhegam. Chaturvanyam Maya system. I have prescribed this 4 varnas. Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. Based on the person's attribute and based on the person's duty, his efficiency of work. Tasya Kartaram Abhimam Vitti Kartaram Abhim. Based on that, the person is being separated into 4 clans, not classes. We have to carefully use this word. Tasya Kartaram Abhimam Vitti Kartaram Abhim. 4 clans. Chaturvanyam Hitarthaya. The same way Vishwamitra told Rama that if you kill this woman, this Rakshasi, Chaturvanyam Hitarthaya. The 4 clans will be at peace. So, under Vishwamitra's supervision, under his firm command, Rama killed Tataka. He had killed Tataka. Muni Vachanapala Tatakam Patayitva, as Narayana Bhattacharya said in Narayaniyam. Drinam Tranayabane Muni Vachanapala Tatakam Patayitva Nadva Aswa Atvasaram Muni Deva Siddhasamakyam Drinam Tatakam Patayitva. And he fiercely killed Tataka. And after killing Tataka, the arrow which pierced Tataka's heart came back to Rama's arrow shed. That shows that, as Kamban said in his Kamba Ramayana, that to the person who's not even in the position to reform, whatever the Upadesha and whatever the Upanyasa, the hundreds and thousands of Upanyasa, you give it to him, it is like entering into one's ear and going out into others' ear. Like that, Rama has said Tataka, which created a joy in everyone's, all the rishis' mind. And Vishwamitra was very worried how to make Rama sleep, how to put him asleep, which was really worried. As for the past 12 years, he slept in a palace. So by his king supervisors, they would make him sleep. He slept in a very good bed, very good high quality luxury bed. And here, while in the forest, there won't be any sort of luxury over there. How to make them sleep? which Vishwamitra was mentally worried. And suddenly he sang a lullaby. Dasarata Nripasunu Sattamabhyam, Trinachayani Animishe Sorochi Sabhyam, Kushika Sutavacho Lalitabhyam, Shanamiva Vibhavo Vibhavaricha, Dasarata Nripasunu Sattamabhyam, Dasarata Nripasunu Sattamabhyam, Trinachayane Adivite Sorochi Sabhyam. Out of interest, Trinachayane, Rama slept in the grass bed, Sorochi Sabhyam. By Kusika Sutta was own Lalitapya. By hearing Vishwamitra's lullaby, Rama and Lakshmana slept under Vishwamitra's thigh on a grass bed. Shanamivasa Vibhavam Vibhavaricha. It was like one yuga has disappeared. Like the same way Rama slept on Vishwamitra's lap, and that too on a grass bed. And Vishwamitra he didn't fall asleep. He was looking at Rama and Lakshmana's face in a close angle, as during the work he couldn't look and mesmerize on Rama's beauty. Why? Why I can say is he was engaged in Karya. He wanted to do welfare to all the Maharshis. He wanted Rama as a weapon to counterattack Tataka, to end all the tyranny of Tataka, which he was busy in his work, so he couldn't wholeheartedly mesmerize Rama's beauty. And by seeing Rama's beauty, the way how he sleeps, Vishwamitra was deeply glancing at him, and he was inherently thinking that he's a Paramatma, and how can I make him sleep? And how can I make him? How can I awake him? I'm not Periyalvar to wake Raghunatha by singing Pallandu, Pallandu, Pallaayirathandu, Palakodi Nooraayiram Allandu Thingthol Manivanna, Un Sevadi Sevvi Thirukkaappu. That's why he's called Periyalvar. Periya means big in Tamil. Why? He had the duty to establish Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya in front of Pandya king. That's why in his study he said Pandiyan Kondada Pattar Piran Vandan endu Pandiyan Kondada. Under Bhagavan's Agya, Bhagavan's decision, Periyalvar entered into the Pandyan kingdom, and he has shown the Vishnu Paratva, the greatness of Mahavishnu, about Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam. He was the first person, he had the courage to show Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam. It is at peak, which Periyalvar had showed, and later the king, Pandya king, has converted into Sri Vaishnava. And he has offered him his valuable elephant, and he made the mahout to mount Periyalvar on his chariot elephant, such that he would be given a due respect. He was given him a due respect, and with the elephant he boarded to Srivilliputtur, his place where he worships Vatapatra Sai. There, Periyalvar was in a position to wake up Raghunatha. But here Vishwamitra, he was really hesitant. He was very shy to wake up Rama. And what can I say to wake up my Rama? And suddenly he has thought, Kausalya Supraja Rama, Purva Sandhya Pravartate, Uttishta Narashardula Kartavyam Deva Mahnikam, and which is the first sloka for all the Suprabhatam, be it Venkateswara Suprabhatam, be it Ahovila Narasimha Suprabhatam, all the Suprabhatams, they use this word, Kausalya, this sloka, Kausalya Supraja Rama. And he has mentioned the association with Kausalya. The same thing Arunagirinathar mentioned in Tirpugal, Yende Magira Raghunatha Vaduga. In his 20 Sariya Tirpugal, where he mentioned Tiruchendur Murugan. Yende Magira Raghunatha Vaduga. As he has turned himself as Kausalya and he awakened Rama. The same thing Kulasekara Alvar said, Mandu Pugal Kausaletan, Manivairu Vaitavane, Tennilange Kon Mudilal, Senpuritta Semponser, Kaninanmal Pudasul, Kannapurat Karumaniye, Innabudam Yennamude, Iragavane Talelo, in his first verse of Perumal Tirumuri. மண்ணு புகழ் கோசலை தன் மணிவயிறு வாய்த்தவனே. And he has praised கௌசல்யாமா. மண்ணு புகழ் கோசலை தன் மணி வயிறு வைத்தவனே. And she had a womb which is embedded with lot of money, lot of jewels, lot of emerald, a lot of pearls are there. Because தென்னிலங்கை கோன் முதலால் செந்துரித்த செம்பொன் சேர். And he was always, he was in a mood, and he already prescribed that he would be killing Ravana's, putting into Ravana's atrocities. கண்ணினன்மாள் மதில் புதல் சூழ் கண்ணபுரத்து கருமணியே. And he looked at Shauri Raja Perumal. Here Shauri Raja is Lord Krishna. To him, Shauri Raja appeared himself as Lord Rama. Kannapurattu Karumaniye, Kannapurattu Karumaniye. By looking at his color, Karumaniye, he was black in color. He was, even though he was black in color, at the same time, his effulgence had made him to attain the trance state of what Kausalya had been in a position to sing a lullaby to Rama. He has attained the same stage Vishwamitra was there. That's why he has brought association Kausalya Supraja Rama. Purva Sandhya Prabhattate. Morning time has come. That it was very early morning. 4 o'clock time had come. Uttishta Narasardula Kartavyam Devamaknikam. Kartavyam Devamaknikam. We have to see very closely. As even though he was a mentor to Rama and Lakshmana, he didn't show his stand. He didn't show his stand that I am the mentor. Wake up. He can say it in a rude way, no. And why he said in a gentle way, in a careless way, why he has said? Because who am I to wake up Rama? I am here to enjoy Rama. So, the same Rama as Sriman Narayana has given me this purpose, a chance to welcome him, to give him the divine astras, to tell him lot of stories, to engage him. God has given me this agya. I am just an instrument. So, since I am playing the role of Acharya, I have to wake Rama. And at the same time, I must not be rude to him. Uttista Narasardula Kartavyam Devam Aknikam. The time has come for you to do your austerities. Please wake up. Which Vishwamitra requested. And at that moment, Rama wake up. Rama Lakshmana both completed their bath as well as their austerities. Everything they completed. And they were ready with their bow and arrow, with the folded hands. They greeted Vishwamitra and they bowed to him. And they asked, Imaustu Murishardulo Kinkarau Samupastitau. Imaustu Murishardulo Kinkarau Samupastitau. He asked, what shall I do? Veeru Emu Chayali. And what shall I do to serve you? Which to show that how a student has to be. The same thing in Bhagavatam it shows. In the first canto, how Bhagavatam has arrived. The avatar of Bhagavatam. And at that time, Parikshit was inflicted with the curse given by Shringi. That over a 7 week, just 7 week, you will be devoured by Takshaka. Your death will be, Takshaka will be the reason for your death. Which he has cursed Parikshit. And you see Parikshit's mind. Like what you can say is, by looking at Parikshit's mind, you could see the Vairagya. If you hear, if one astrologer says that within 1 month, within 1 day, you will leave this world. If they say, tell us what will our mindset will be, at that time we will get a heart attack. Because we can't leave this world. Why? Because we have been highly bonded in this world. And that is the reason we are not interested to die. But to other people, if one person has passed away, we'll act as Brahmajnani and say, Atma Nityam, Deham Anityam. That Atma is always permanent. Deham is temporary. This body is temporary. To others, we will be in a position to counsel. But in our case, we will cry. We'll be depressed. And we can't take it in our mind wholeheartedly. That is our main problem. And while you see in Parikshit's mind, he has renounced everything and he gave all the kingship duties to his fellow ministers. And just by one cloth, he wore one cloth and enter across the ghats of Ganga. And that time he sat under that Arapritchavi Samsiddhim Yoginam Paramam Sukham. Purusha Seva Yatkaryam Mriyamana Sarvata. And he further said that what a person has to do while he is in the pangs of death. At the next moment, the death will be devouring him. Yama will be twirling his mustache and he will be hurling his whip to take the jiva. And that time Yama's ready. The death will be following us. If you sit, the death will sit. If you sleep, the death will sleep. If you stand, the death will stand. The death is always closely associating us. Any time we will be in the position to leave the body. The situation might be anything. And that time Parikshit was very firm and very bold. And many people around, the many Maharshis around him has told, we'll better do Shanti. We'll better do Parihara. Since you have been inflicted in this curse, 7 days, the Takshaka serpent will devour you. So, better you'll do Ragu Shanti. Better we'll do Sarpasatra Yagam. In that way, Takshaka will be killed and you will be saved from the pangs of death. Which all the Varshis they all said. And Parikshit, by hearing all the pleas and all the requests, and they were all ready to receive the Dakshina from Parikshit. And he was very firm, he was very resolute, and he told, Alam Gayata Vishnugata. Enough of all the pariharas, enough of all the shantis. They can't save us from death. Someday, any other day, I will be in a position to leave this body. So, what's the point in thinking about the pariharas, about Rahu dosha, Ketu dosha? I'm, I'm very tired of hearing of these pleas. Gayata Vishnu Gata. Can anyone sing about Bhagavan? I want one person to tell Bhagavad Guna in front of me. Is anyone there? Everyone were silent. And they were all surprised by looking at Parikshit's Vairagya. And that time Sugacharya came. Tatravat Bhagavan Vyasaputraha. And he gave us the Bhagavata. That shows the resolution of a Shishya, which Rama had showed. In Balakanda, you see how a scholar has to be and how a disciple has to be, which Rama had shown. Imostu Munishardulo Kinkaro Samupastito. What am I supposed to do with folded hands? He had requested Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra told, we'll go to Siddhashram. In that Siddhashram, he has told the story of Siddhashrama. If you see Balaganda, apart from Vishwamitra and Rama's journey, there were hundreds and thousands of stories inbuilt in Balaganda. First, you have seen about the Manmata's story. And now in Siddhashrama, here Vishwamitra told about Vamana Avatara. Bhagavan has incarnated as Vamana, dwarf. And in the Siddhashrama, Vamana was born as Aditi, born as a son of Aditi as well as to Kashyapa. And at that time, they have conducted a sacred ceremony, Upanayana Samskara. And at that time, all the devatas came. And the Surya Bhagavan has initiated him the Gayatri Mantra. All were said in Bhagavata. So, all the devatas came and the first devata who received the alms from Vamana is Bhiksham Bhagavati Saksha Umayaha Ambika Sati. The first devata received from Vamana is goddess Durga. And in this place, Bhagavan as Vamana received after completion of Upanayana Samskara, he travelled to Bali's kingdom. That is in Brigukach in Baruch. In this place, Vamana had received this, Vamana Murti has received this Upanayana Samskara. The moment Vishwamitra has entered in the place, they were silent. Everyone were silent. On his slabs, two animals who had contrasting behavior traits characteristics. They were seated on two laps of Vishwamitra. One is the lion, another is the deer, and everyone seated, and all the rabbits they all sat in one place. It was like Lord Krishna. It was like in Bhagavatam when Bhagavan was playing his flute. All the animals and all the organisms they entered in Bhagavan's flute concert. The same way while Vishwamitra entered, all were seated, and Rama was really overjoyed, and he thought that I am very privileged to have him as our guru because Sarva Bhuta Suhurt, I said in Bhagavatam, how a Mahatma has to be, which in this world we can't say about Mahan, as many keep the name of Mahan. If we start a small organization, sorry, if we start a small organization, the people who really like that organization, they would call me as Guruji. If because to get a name, to get a certificate of Guruji is very easy. Because one will be in a position to advise others, to counsel others. They're not only one, they're hundreds of thousands of people. To earn the name of Mahatma, he must the one has to be Sarvabhuta Suhrit. One has to be friend to all the living beings in and around him. He must see everyone as Lord Krishna. Sarvatra Krishna Darshanam has to be there in him, which Vishwamitra had. And everyone were happy. And Rama Lakshmana both looked at him. And over the period of time, in the afternoon session, Vishwamitra initiated him mantra. He initiated him Shastra. As lot of there are two types of weapons. One is Astra and another is Shastra. Astra means it is a weapon interconnected with Bhagavan's blessings, with the Devata's blessings. If it's Brahmastra, it has Brahma's blessings. If it's Vayavastra, it has Vayu Bhagavan's blessings. Like that, hundreds and thousands of astras Vishwamitra initiated to Rama, and everyone got it. And all the astras Rama had got it with sheer humility. And all the devatas circumlated him. Everyone were there. And everyone were looking at him. Everyone were ready to serve Rama. Everyone were ready. They were eagerly waiting for Rama's orders. They all looked at him with a pleasant smile. And everyone in the queue, they were questioning Rama, please use me. Rama, please use me. Everyone were there. And Rama with a pleasant smile told them that whenever the time comes, I will definitely use you, appoint you as in my service. By saying that, all the devatas disappeared. And at that time, another threat has come. It was none other than Subahu, Maricha, and all the Rakshasas came. They were ready to avenge death of their own mother, Tataka. And they entered Siddhashrama. And at that time, Rama looked at Maricha, and he deliberately laughed at him that he's not as fierce as Tataka. So we'll better hurl him an average astra. That is the Manavastra. It is better we hurl him an average astra such that he won't die. So first, by looking at Maricha, Rama had hurled Manavastra, and Maricha went to 10 oceans. He was thrown like a hot air balloon. Like hot air balloon, when we aim the balloon and like the balloon which was inflated, the moment it loses its air, how it goes nowhere. Similar way, Rama threw Maricha to 10 countries, to 7 continents, and to the 7 seas. He has been dipped in such a way that he will lose this. He might lose his breath. The moment he thought that he might lose his breath, at that time he was released, and that time when he was released, he thought that Abba, I am safe, and suddenly he was submerged in that ocean. Like that, he has sent Maricha ashore, and that time hundreds and thousands of Rakshasas were there. And Rama looked at Agneya Astra. the very good fine quality astra. And by looking at Subahu, he was damn fierce. He was ready to devour both Rama and Lakshmana. And when he was coming very close, very proximate, he was coming. By calculating the speed and the distance, Rama hurled Agneya Astra. On that, Subahu was burning like a fire, like how he burst a pataka. The same way Subahu was burning brightly like a fire, and all the Rakshasas were killed by Bhagavan's divine Astra, and everyone were killed. And, for what reason Rama has used this Astra means he wanted to check the efficiency of this Astra. This we can say. And another is that all the Devatas went in, they all came in crowd. They all were in, they were ready to get blessings from Rama. So, to get blessings from Rama, the Manavastra, Agneyastra, two devatas they came first. So Rama used them as the primary serviceman, and with the help of them he killed Maricha and Subahu. He counterattacked Maricha and Subahu, which many commentators say in that way. So they all stayed for one night in Siddhashrama, and at the time, by looking at the Ganga, by looking at the Ganga Mata, Vishwamitra started the story of Ganga. By looking at Ganga, what comes in his mind? Vishnupada Chuta Pumo Apata Patanasini. Which Rama says the same sloka to Lakshmana while he was crossing Ayodhya. And that time Ganga was flowing downstream. By looking at that, Vishnupada Chuta Pumo Apata Patanasini. It came from Mahavishnu's Trivadi, Apata Patanashini. And that has cleared everyone's sins. So, by looking at the sanctity of the Ganga, Vishwamitra started the story of Bhagirath Upakyanam. There, Devadeva Kate Rasmin Purveshampi Purvachaha. He started the story of his descendants, which Rama looked in such a way that it was first time he is listening to the Bhagiratha story. And Vishwamitra in turn told in such a way that he is doing Upanyasam on Bhagiratha Upakyanam. And mentally he was thinking that, Rama, whatever stories I'm telling, you know it from the beginning. Because even Vivasvate Proktam Proktavan Aham Avyam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manuhu Ishwakave Bravit, which Bhagavan said in Gita that I was the first person to initiate Brahma Vidya to Surya Bhagavan. Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam, that I am the infinite person, the supreme personality of Godhead, as said in Prabhupada's commentary, even Vivasvade Proktam, that he was the first person, I am the first person to give initiate Brahma Vidya to Vivaswan, Surya Bhagavan, and Vivaswan Manave Praha. And Surya in turn was the Acharya to Manu, and Manu who Ishwakavaya Bravite, and Manu became the Acharya to Ishwaku. From that, Evam Parampara Praptum Iham Rajashayo Viduhu. From there were hundreds of Rajarshis, which Bhagavan said in fourth chapter. The same way Bhagavan said in Bhagavad Gita. As you are the origin, as you initiated Brahma Vidya to Surya, and you initiated, and you are the origin of, and you in the sunlight, in the Surya Bhagavan, you are Surya Narayana, who is the reason for you, for his heat, at the same time for his invisibility to the common people, that you are responsible for Surya's effulgence. So you might be knowing this story, but since you are my disciple, I am telling this story. That was the Baba of Vishwamitra. He knew Rama, and he always seen Rama as Narayana. Then he slowly started the story of mentioning Sakara Chakravarti. He was a very big Raja, and he treated his subjects as his own children. He performed Ashwamedha Yaga, hundreds of Ashwamedha Yaga, in such a way that it will irk Indra. Indra would be jealous. If a person perform 100th Ashwamedha Yaga, the person who is posed as Indra, he'll be thrown out of Swargaloka. Because how a person can leave this divine luxury. This luxury is how a person can live. If a person who's placed in Benz car, and how can he sacrifice the seat, which seat of the experience which he have experienced from sitting in that Benz car, the positive experience. How a person can sacrifice it? If he's a jnani, he can sacrifice anything. He won't be perturbed if he's placed in a Benz car or he's placed in a 800 car. He won't even bother because idam shariram nashwaram. That whatever these things are there, they are waste and they are of no value and they are the reason for the person's bondage in this world. But this Indra, he was very, he was frightened that I might lose this seat. I have to do something. So they have tied the horse. That horse has to come to the Yajaman's place, to that Sagara Chakravarti's place, who was performing the yajna. If the horse has come to that place, then the yajna will be fruitful. So Indra, in the form of a horseman, he has removed the loose of the horse, and the horse started running elsewhere. And he came as a bhikshu, and he came and suddenly came as a bhikshu, and his hundreds and thousands of sons they were coming. They were following the traces of the horse, and suddenly Indra came as a bhikshu, and he asked for Bhavati Bhiksham, he give me some alms. And those Sagara children, they know that he was none other than Indra. So better we ignore him and better we push him aside and we'll go and follow the horse. And they all pushed that person aside and they ran very, very, very fast. And that time there were 8 Digdevatas around the sea. They were 8 Digdevatas, they were ready and they were ready to advise the hundreds and thousands of people, thousands of Sagaras, the sons of Sagara Chakravarti, and they retaliated that my horse is important and why should I listen to your advice? Get lost, go aside. And they ignore the commands. And slowly he started following the horse, and suddenly the land mass has been disappeared, and so the ocean has came, and hence the ocean received the name of Sagara. The Sagara, the sons of hundreds and thousands of Sagaras, they ran very, very fast, accompanying, following the horse. And the horse has suddenly went to Kapilashama. In the present day, we say it is in Los Angeles, California. In Kapilashama, they went there and it has somehow disappeared. I can say it has disappeared. And they were an idea to say that, and they had the bad mindset that the Kapila Muni, the sage who has been performing 1,000 years of tapas, he has been posing, he has been faking his own identity, and they thought that his tapas is fake. So when I come, they close their eyes and they look and they were aware of the entire world. When I come, as we will be in a position to ask him questions, to ignore him the best way that we'll act as if I'm doing patterns. That is the best way to escape from them. Like that, they thought that he had that mindset. So they disturbed Kapila Maharshi. The moment he opened his eyes, they all were turned into heaps of ashes. Very, very, very big, big mountains. As you say, the Ashfield Mountain, which you see in Los Angeles, that is due to Kapila's divine eyes, as they were reduced to ashes by Kapila's Divya Tejas. And suddenly, Sagara was very worried that we have lost a sacrifice. In that process, we have lost our children. And accidentally, they were all married. And they posthumously, we got their children. And that time, the eldest Anshuman was crowned as a king. Actually, he has to be a great grandfather. In Ramayana, it is said that Sagara was a grandfather to Anshuman. Why? Because over the generations he has begot a child. So that's why they have told that Anshuman, Anshuman is his grandchildren. So under Sagara's orders, Anshuman he has taken the post of being the king of Ayodhya, and he had a firm mind to, and he was desperate to relieve the curse of the thousands of Sagara children and send them to Swargaloka. And he was keen in that. And at that time he was following the kingship duties. At the same time he was looking after that process. And that time he has met Kapila Maharishi, and from him, from his request, he has told that we have to begot Ganga. By if you bring Ganga to this Buloka, in this mother, in this world, then automatically all the things will be solved, and your forefathers, they will attain Swarga, they will attain heaven. So by his request, Ansuman also tried, and suddenly he got old and he had passed away. And after that, Dilipa has assumed the throne, and his time also went. So there were no one else, and he had only one child named Bhagirath. And Vasishtha Maharishi was ready to crown him as a king, and he neglected with firm conviction that I will assume, I will resume my kingship duties after I relieve my thousands of Sagaras curse who have been burned into heap of ashes. My primary duty is to I have to relieve them from the curse, and I have to send them to heaven, which my grandfather, my great grandfather, they all have attained. They must be given the same status because they have followed the dharma. What dharma is? They follow their father's orders. That on that basis, I have to relieve them from this curse, from their curses. So he has found a secluded he has found a place where he himself can do tapas, meditation. He did for hundreds and thousands of years, evoking on Brahma. And he prayed to Brahma that I want Ganga Mata to enter in this world. I want Ganga, which he prayed to Brahma because Adavadi Pitamasya Vyavara Patre Janam, as Acharya said in Ganga Ashtakam. As Ganga is present in Brahma's Divya Kamandalu, in his earthen pot, Ganga is present. So he requested Brahma to give him Ganga Maya. And and Brahma told that I have half of the, I have only half liter of Ganga, so I can't give you. Better you do penance, evoking on Parameshwara. He has the power to give you Ganga. So at that time, Bhagirath did a penance on Parameshwara. He prayed to Lord Shiva for another thousands of years. And suddenly Parameshwara appeared in front of him. And at that time, he asked Ganga. And Ganga was very desperate. And she was excited that she will come. She will come to, she will come in this world. That no one can ever stop my rate of speed. My rate of flow, no one can ever stop. So, Paschat Pannakasayano Bhagavata Padodakam Patuka. And that Ganga came from Brahma's Divya Kamandalu. From the Divya Kamandalu, Brahma had offered oblations to Sriman Narayana, and that has hit Sriman Narayana's feet. And from that, it came, Ganga Maya came slowly. From that, Ganga Devi came, Bhuya Shambhu Jata Vibhushana Manim. And Parameshwara received that to show that how a Mahatma has to be. That his Bhagavan, he has received the Pada Tirtha from Bhagavan's feet. Bhuya Shambhu Jata Vibhushana Mani. And he has bore it as an ornament. Jannoho Mukha Jivana. And it has slowly entered into Janhu Maharishi's mouth. And at last, Acharya concluded this sloka, Kanya Devatanashri Bhagavati Bhagirati Patuma. Oh Ganga, please save me. Why? Bhagavati Vishaya Vikabhakna Krishna Aradaya Vikata Vishaya Trishna Krishna Aradayami. And why I am praying to you is Vikata Vishaya Trishna. I am very thirsty. I am starving. As by looking at these worlds, by looking at these worldly matters, worldly affairs, I am perplexed. I am tired because they can't satiate my hunger. I want tasty food such that it would satiate my hunger, complete hunger. I want permanent release, not temporary release. Like Bhagavati Nidadite Nira Matrasanoham. And he said that I will drink your water. I will drink your Divya Jala. by drinking your Divya Jala, Vigata Visaya Tishnam Adara, Vigata Visaya Tishnam Adarayami. As a result, I will be released from this worldly affairs, which which doesn't make me contained, and which really further thirsts me, which doesn't even satiate me. Instead, Krishna Maharadayami, in that place, in this Ganga Ghat, in the ghats of Ganga, I will pray Krishna in solitude. That is the only boon I am asking you. Because since I'm speaking about Ganga's story, in between I'm telling Acharya's Gangastakam. Because that reminds me of that. So Bhagirath prayed to Ganga, prayed to Parameshwara, and suddenly Ganga came. She had a sheer arrogance. With arrogance, she flowed quickly, swiftly she flowed, and Parameshwara has controlled her rage because she was in the position that whoever comes in the middle, I would knock them off. As she was ready, and Parameshwara was standing there, and she was ready that she was in a firm conviction that I would knock off Parameshwara's jata, which she had the bad intention. So Parameshwara, to relieve, to put an end to her arrogance, he has received the entire Ganga Jal, and he has locked it in his matted locks. And Ganga was circumambulating on his matted locks, and she didn't even know where can I be relieved? I don't know where shall I go? What shall I do? Which she was very confused, and she had no other way. She has offered her and she asked for repentance to Parameshwara, and Bhagirath in turn also asked that I want some water of Ganga, and from his divine matted locks, from his Jatabara, he has released some part of Ganga, and the whole Ganga, it has overflowed the ashram of Janhu Maharishi, and he did Achyutaya Namaha. One Achamanam he did. After doing one Achamana, he drank the Ganga water. All the Ganga water went into his mouth, and Bhagirath was very tired. By bringing Ganga, first I did penance to Brahma, then I evoked Parameshwara, and he has also controlled the rage of Ganga. And by my request, Parameshwara released some liter of Ganga, and it has it overall it has been devoured by Janhu Maharishi. And what shall I do? And he, with bolted hands, with sheer respect, he prayed to Jannu Maharishi to release some Ganga. And through his left ear, he released the Ganga. And as a result, Ganga received four names. One is Alakananda. As she had been circulating around Parameshwara's matted locks at the same time, giving him cooling effect. Hence, she had been renamed as Alakananda. Another name is Bhagirathi. Because of Bhagiratha's request, she has came here in this world. She has been gracing the world. So her name is Bhagirathi, and and Ganga was really reluctant that better I will go to Devaloka for your curse to relieve your forefathers. I have came. Better I will leave this world immediately. Which Ganga Mata said, and Bhagiratha said that Dharmishtaha Lokapavanaha. Sadhavo Nyasinasantaha Dharmishtaha Lokapavana. The same story comes in Bhagavatam also. Dharmishtaha Lokapavanaha. As hundreds and thousands of sadhus will be there. You might be worried that you will be carrying thousands of people who have been accumulated sin. So they were they might be disposing sins in Ganga. So I can't bear this heat. I can't dissolve it. So how can I get relief from this curse? And Bhagirath said, Sadhavo Nyasinas Shanta. Hundreds of Mahans, mendicants will take part in Ganga. By their presence, they would be chanting Ramanama. They would be chanting their Bhagavan's Nama. By chanting their Nama, they would bring a brick effect in your Ganga. You will be 100% pure from impurities. That's why many plans have came, Ganga production plan has came. Many people have disposed lot of waste in Ganga, and right now, from the from the from the era of Ramayana until now, we still respect, we still do Arati in Ganga, especially if you see in Varanasi in Dashashwamedh Ghat. Sharp 6 p.m. they would perform Aarti in Rishikesh also. Wherever Ganga is present and abundant, in that place they perform Aarti because Sadhavo Nyasina Shanta. Hundreds and thousands of Mahans would take part in Ganga, would take bath in Ganga. Which Bhagirath requested, on Bhagirath's request, Ganga stayed in Buloka. By narrating this story, Rama was very with firm devotion. He he has crossed Ganga. While he was crossing Ganga, at that time they heading towards Janakpur, Mithila. Before that, there was a place called Gautamashram. In that place, they have heard a story of Ahalya, which Vishwamitra himself narrated the story of Ahalya. As Ahalya lost her chastity due to her association with Indra, and at that time, Indra, in disguise of Gautama, uh, had a relationship with Ahalya. When Gautama came after his austerities, he had seen Indra, and he cursed him that hundreds and thousands of eyes would be generated in your body, which he has cursed him. And he has further cursed Ahalya to be invisible, like an air. And at the same time, by looking at Ahalya's repentance, he had told there will be one great person will be coming here, he'll be coming. By his arrival, you will be relieved from the curse. And at that time, by hearing Ahalya's story, you have to see the mind of a youngster. If you compare it with another youngster, they will be laughing. Oh, Ahalya, how you call her as a very chaste woman, you call her as a very chaste woman, and look at her mind, how polluted she is. And why should I go there? With the perverted mind approach, they will, the person will be seeing. And if the person will be seeing in that approach, but in the case of Rama, he had seen Ahalya as her mother, as his mother, which with with firm resolution he went to Gautama Ashrama. The moment he entered Gautama Ashrama, suddenly Ahalya had been relieved from the curse and she fell on Rama's feet. And Rama in return fell on Ahalya's feet because he has seen her as a mother, as his mother. That's what Sita told to Anasuya that my husband would see all the ladies as Kausalya. He had seen everyone, all the ladies as his own mother. Similarly, in the case of Ahalya, has seen as his own mother. And suddenly he bowed to him. And at that time, Gautama Maharshi came and introduced himself. By his request, by Vishwamitra's request, they were heading towards Janakpur, Mithila. While entering to Mithila, at that time, all the crowds of people, they were looking at drama. Tol kandar, tore kandar, turgamala, tal kandar, tare kandar, tarakke kandar, akude, which Kambana Talvan said in Kambaramayana. They were all gazing at Rama. Tol kandar, tole kandar. They were seeing his body. They were seeing his physique. Tol kandar, tole kandar. By looking at his shoulders, everyone were just contemplating on the shoulders. I can say contemplate. I can't say look. Look means just simply gazing. I can say contemplate. Tol kandar, tole kandar. They were contemplated. Their mind is fixed on that shoulders. Torukamalam tal kandar, tale kandar. Tadakkai kandar, akure. Everyone were looking at his feet. And they were contemplating on that feet that because Charanam Pavitram Vitatam Puranam Yena Putastarati Duskritani Tena Pavitrena Shuddena Puta Adi Papva Navaratim Tarema, as Vedas spoke about his divine feet, Charanam Pavitram Vitatam Puranam. And the Charana, his feet, gives such refuge to those who had been in samsara. Ena Putastarati Duskritani, and that makes them transcend, and that transcends them from the sorrows circumlating this world. Tena pavitrena shuddhena puta, and that cleanses their mind. Ati papana maratin tarema. As the Vedas, as was Annamacharya said in his Kirtana, Brahma Kadigina Padamu. They have spoke high about Bhagavan's Trivadi, and many people were contemplating on the Trivadi. and many people are looking at his face, and many people are looking at his feet, and many people were looking at his hair, and many people were looking at his crown. Everywhere people were looking at him, and they were all mesmerized. Like in Srirangam, when Namparimal appears in front of us in, for Utsava, in that place, 365 days Utsava, 24 bar 7 Utsava. God will always be in outdoors. Well, always in the Vidi Gula, God will always be there. And it will be overjoying to those who live in Srirangam. That's what Swami Desikan said, Madhyerangam Mamachagade Vartade Sa Avarodaha. As said in Bhagavad-dhyana Sopanam, Madhyerangam Mamachagadaye. That Ranganatha, who is in reclining position, Madhyerangam Mamachagadaye. He must be in my heart. Vartade Sa Avarodaha. As a result, all my worries will be disappeared when Ranganatha stays in my heart. At the time when Rama Lakshmana came, people were simply contemplating on that divine form, and slowly they entered Janaka Maharaja's Bhavan, Janaka Bhavan. When they entered, and that time Janaka Maharaja, if you say, as Bhagavan said in Gita, Karmanaiva Visam Siddhim, Astita Janakadayaha, Loka Sangrahame Mapi, Sampasyanakattumanasi. If you see Janaka Maharaja, he was 100%, he was doing his kingship duties. At the same time, he was doing Vedanta Shravana by inviting Yagyavalka, by inviting Ashtavakra, and lot of Upadeshas, Brihadarika Upanishad we see, Upanishad we see. Here the Shrota was Janaka Maharaja. And Yagyavalka was the Guru. And he was active participant and he was active listener in Vedanta Shravana. In Vedanta Shastra, he was active listener. And he won't be mesmerized by all the outward appearances. And by looking at Rama, he was mesmerized. Imo ustu munishardulau, imo kumaro badramte, devatulya parakramau, gajasimhagati virau, shardulau, rishabopamau, Ashwinavyavaroopena samupasthita yauvanau. By looking at two forms, Imau Kumaru Badramte. And first he thought, are they devatas? Certainly not. If they are devatas, their feet won't be intact with the ground. They would be suspended. Imau Kumaru Badramte. By looking at them, they were two young lads. Deva Tulya Parakramam. By looking at their physique, by looking at their paurusha, it was equal to the devas. Gaja Simha Gati Virau. Now he focused on their gait. Gaja Simha Gati Virau. His walk is similar to Gaja, like an elephant, like a lion. Shardula Vishabopamau. And similarly, like a tiger as well as like a ox. Why he said why Valmiki has said Vrishabho Pamau? Why he has mentioned Vrishabha? Why can't he mention Jaguar? And why can't he mention Cheetah? Why he mentioned Shardula Vrishabho Pamau? As you see an ox, it is highly fierce. If hundreds of oxes counterattack a lion, the lion will be doomed. That fearlessness is seen in ox. Shardula Rishabhopamau. That is what Parameshwara sits on Nandi. Nandi Bhagavan is the identity of Dharma. That firm Dharma, the firm resolution of Dharma is the symbol of Nandi. That's what Janaka Maharaja indirectly says that Shardula Rishabhopamau. That shows that his firm resolution in Dharma. Gaja means nature of the how he walks. Simha means the ferociousness, the fierceness which he shows in Yuddha. He can't walk like an elephant while elephant fights. While elephant walks, we all people will be mesmerized. But for a person who's gonna go for wrestling, for Mallyuddham, for a person who's going for a boxing championship, he must not walk like an elephant. He must walk like a lion. Gaja Simha, Gatir Veerau, Shardula Vishabhopamau. And similar to tiger also. Shardula Rishabhopamau. By keeping the gate in mind, he has mentioned about Rama's divine attributes. Padma Patrek Sado Viro, Kadgaduni Dharuddhar. And those two those two uh, eyes resemble lotus. Kadgaduni Dharuddhara. By looking at their hands, they were expert in handling hundreds of weapons. Ashwina Iva Rupena Saupastita Yogarau. Both of them look like Ashwini Kumaras. And if a people face against them, they will be doomed. It will be the doomsday for them. By looking at them, they were all mesmerized. And Janaka was over mesmerized. And he couldn't say about who were those two people who, in their Anushtana, they were effulgent. And at the same time, in their Paurusha, they are at par in excellence. And there were no words came from Janaka's mind. And at that time, Shatananda came in the Sadas, in the meeting. Shatananda thought that by looking at them, he has thought about his own mother Ahalya, how he had relieved his mother from the curse. And in return, Shatananda narrated the story of Vishwamitra by looking at Vishwamitra, and he congratulated Rama Lakshmana that we were privileged to have him such a Mahan aside. As Vishwamitra's prime purpose here was to get Rama married. As while he was in Ayodhya, he tortured Harishchandra. As Harishchandra was firm in his truth, firm in his resolution. To test him, he had given him hundreds and thousands of torture. Uh, Primarily, he has abducted his kingdom and he has made him work as a scavenger. Lot of problems he has given, and at that problem, his wife Chandramati's son Rohit passed away due to the snake bite. And at that time, she was carrying her dead son, as he was in a position to cremate his own son in the funeral pyre. And at that time, all the devatas came. And all the devatas came, all Vishwamitra came, they were all overjoyed by Harishchandra's firm resolution and his truthfulness. And Vishwamitra accepted his defeat, and finally he gave the kingdom to Harishchandra. And all the tortures he has previously gave to Harishchandra in the name of examination. But he was, but he had a sankalpa to get Rama and Sita married. And at that time, Satananda was telling the story of Vishwamitra. If you see the story of Vishwamitra, what lesson we can learn is that Vishwamitra Maharshi has performed thousands of tapas, 1,000 years of tapas to attain the stage of Brahmarishi. Previously, he came for lunch in Vasishta's ashrama, and by looking at thousands of soldiers who have been served with royal respect, and he inquired about Vasishta. That Vasishta had a special cow named Nandini. He requested Vasishta to give him the cow, and Vasishta in turn asked Nandini to be under Vishwamitra. And Nandini retaliated that I can't leave you because my prime purpose is to serve you. As my prime purpose is to serve you because you are a Mahan. And why do you want me to stay in that king's palace? Better I'll be with you. I don't want to leave this world. And Vishwamitra and Vashishta told to Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra, he can't give up his adamants at that time since he was a king. So he has sent his troops of soldiers to abduct Nandini and make her convinced to be in his palace. So they were ready with the sword, with the bow, with the arrow, all the arrows, all the weapons, they were all ready. With the weaponry, they were ready for the sake of backup. They were all ready to catch Nandini. And with her Shakti, she has generated thousands of soldiers. And they in turn had broke their limbs, broke their arms, and broke their head. Everyone were fractured. Everyone was sent to Puttur Everyone were sent to hospital. And Vishwamitra has thought, not by my troops I can't control them. Better, I will pray to Lord Shiva. I will pray to Lord Shiva to get the Divya Astras. By using the Divya Astras, I would make the Brahman to surrender the cow to me. Better I will do 1,000 years of tapas. And he went to Himalayas, Kailasa, and did 1,000 years of tapas. And by Parameshwara's grace, he had received the knowledge of all the Divya Astras, and firmly he went to Vasishtha Ashrama to single-handedly combat with Vasishtha. And Vasishtha didn't do anything. He had no Aida, he had no weapons, he had no Astra, he had no Shastra, he had one staff. With that, he has just mounted the staff in front of Vishwamitra, and Vishwamitra was in a range, was in a terrible range. He was in a rage to shower hundreds of thousands of Divya Astras on Vasishtha, and all the Astras were being drunk by this staff. And Vishwamitra was very perplexed, and he had one astra, that is Brahmastra, which is superior to all the astras. He had hurled on Vasishtha, and at that time that Brahmadanda, the staff, has sucked everything. And now he has understood the power of Vasishtha, the Digbalam, Kshatriya Balam, Brahmatejo Balam Mahat. He has understood the power of Brahmanatva. Since he was a Brahman, he had the tapas. He, he wasn't afraid that this very big king will be coming with the troops. What shall I do? What will we be doing? If we were in the position, we will be afraid. But in case of Vasishtha, he believed in Gayatri Mantra. He believed in his austerities. He believed that whatever positions I may be, this mantra will save me. That firm faith the person must have, unfaltered faith, which we lag here. That is the reason we would consult the astrologers. We go to Navagraha Kshetras in Kumbhakonam. Instead of praying to Ramaswamy, instead of visiting 15 Divyadesams in Kumbhakonam, we would first go to Navagraha Sthalam and spend hundreds and 10,000 rupees of money for that, for the case of travel. That is the reason we are all suffering. Because we have less faith. That's why we change God. We don't to pray to for dhyanam. We must have our mind must be reclined on one God. That's what Bhagavan said. Vyavasaya atmika guti ekaiva kurunandana. You must keep your mind fixed on Bhagavan. That is what Tukaram Maharaj said in the Napangam. Sakali hi tumhi pahi eki sava. That my all the indriyas, the senses and sense organs, they are going in a diversified direction to unify them. Pahi eki seva. I contemplate on you, Panduranga, which he said in his Abhang. The same way, the same way, Vasishta's mind was like that. He was, his faith was unfaltered. So whatever the situations may be, the earthquake might come, none can harm me. Which he learned, Vishwamitra learned that Digbalam Kshatriya Balam, this warfare, this Paurusha, all were waste. Brahma Tejo Balam Mahate. I must obtain the Brahma Tejas, what my opposition, what my enemy has acquired, Vasishtha. And slowly he has resigned from the post of being a king. He has resigned his king post and went for tapas. And by doing tapas, 100 years, slowly he became a Raja Rishi. And at that time, to attain that Brahma Rishi post, lot of trials and tribulations have taken place, which Satananda slowly says to Rama Lakshmana. He was narrating the story. At that time, not one, hundreds and thousands of tribulations. At that time, the Indra was seeing his Vishwamitra's tapas. At that time, it has generated heat on Indra's chair. It has become a hot seat. So Indra did not have any option. He requested Brihaspati, his preceptor, that what shall I do? Send Menaka. Send Menaka and disturb his tapas. Then, under Brihaspati's request, Indra ordered Menaka to descend in this world and to lure Vishwamitra. And she lured Vishwamitra by her gentle touch, by her dance, by her gesture, and suddenly Vishwamitra fell in love with her, and he had been with her for another 1,000 years. And slowly he was surrounded with guilt. Slowly he started to think about it that 1,000 years I had been doing tapas. Suddenly I have been mesmerized by her beauty. Hereafter I must not be mesmerized by anyone else. So by firm resolution, he again started his tapas. Then 1,000 years, another 1,000 years, Indra couldn't tolerate his penance, his steadfastness. So he sent Ramba to disturb his penance. At that time, Ramba did the same. Ramba did the same gesture what Menaka did to him. And this time, Vishwamitra replied negatively that you will be cursed as a stone for 1,000 years. Next 1,000 years, will be cursed as a stone. In that way, by this curse, he has lost the balance of the tapas which he have done previously. And so he decided that first, primarily, I had been mesmerized by Menaka's beauty. By her glamour, I have lost my senses. And by anger, I have lost my penance. So, I must not be evaded by anger as well as by lust. Better, I must keep my mind stable and do another 1,000 years of tapas. Then he did another 1,000 years of tapas. And at that time, there was a story of Trishanku. He was the king of Ayodhya. He has looked his forefathers' cremation. He has looked his how his father had been cremated, his grandfather had been cremated, and he had a desire that I don't want to leave this body. With this body, I did lot of punya karma. I want to go to Swarga. I want to go to Swarga and enjoy the glamour and enjoy all the worldly pleasures in Swarga. I want to sit with Indra. That's what I want. With this body, I want to go. And he pressed Vasishtha. He requested him that, is there any other way, any ritual am I supposed to follow to go so heaven with this body? And Vasishtha said that, it is impossible. It is impossible, Maharaja. It is impossible. For you to go to Swarga, you have to leave this mortal body. Because there you'll be getting a different body, which Vasishtha had told him. But he was adamant. He doesn't want to leave this body. He doesn't like death. He doesn't desire death. So, to lure Vasishtha, to make him say, to give him, to make him to request Vasishtha to give him another ritual such that he will be attaining Swargaloka. To make him do that, he requested Vasishtha that what are the karmas am I supposed to do? At least you tell me. And Vasishtha said, you do all the punya karmas. In return, Trishanku did single-mindedly for him to go Swarga with this mortal body, which he did all the dharmas. Dharmakarya, he did everything. And further, he pressed Vasishtha. And Vasishtha said that, I will tell you tomorrow, which he postponed. And on that day, he went to Vasishtha Ashrama. And that time, Vasishtha wasn't there. His sons were there. And he requested Vasishtha's sons to give him, to tell him any ritual such that I will go for Swargaloka. And these children, they were highly adamant. Trishanku was adamant. And Vasishtha children, they were far adamant than Trishanku. And they literally scolded him that my father had neglected you to do that karma. That is impossible for you to leave this mortal body. And again you are always reiterating on the same thought and in the pretext of telling me. And why are you telling me that since my father cannot do it, how can I do? And if my father said it's impossible, in my case, I would say it is also impossible. Since you are pressing me, since you are torturing me, you would be wandering here and there as Chandala. And they have cursed Rishangu. The very moment he entered the palace, suddenly he had become a Chandala. His wife ran hither thither. All the mantris, they all ran hither thither. And his troops, who respected him, who saluted him, they have carried him and threw him off from Ayodhya. He has been disrespected. And he had no other idea where to go. To which rishi I can surrender to get my rituals done. At the same time, with this body, I want to go to Swarga. He had that firm resolution. He had that desire. And Asha hi paramam dukkham, as Bhagavatam said that this Asha is dangerous, it's lethal, which has been seen in Rishangu's story. He had the desire with the rage, with the burning fire on his head. He ran towards Vishwamitra. That time he has completed his tapas. To him, he requested Vishwamitra Maharshi that, Maharshi, please help me. I have been thrown out like a Chandala. As a Chandala, I have been thrown out. I'm actually the king of Ayodhya. My name is Trishanku. And I followed what prescribed in Shastras. I did all the Dharma Karya. I did, I have treated my subjects as my children. But I have a desire that with this mortal body, I want to go to Swargaloka. And this Vasishta Maharshi has ditched me. And his sons, who's far more worse than Vasishta, cursed me. And that is the reason I become a Chandala. In front of you, I'm begging. Please help me, please serve me. And Vishwamitra asked one question. Can Vasishta give you salvation? Can that Vasishta send you to Swarga Loka with this mortal body? Which he said. Vasishta retaliated. Vasishta is said in such a way that he can't do that. Then I'll be doing that. Don't worry. Chinta mat kijiye. I will take care. No one will speak against you. I will conduct a very big sacrifice such that from all the states, from all the countries, the rishis are there. I will call them. They have to attend the yajna. If they didn't attend, whatever condition you are there, they will be in that condition. And at the same time, they will be as cannibals. Chandala plus cannibal. Vishwamitra curse. And at that time, everyone has received information, including Vasishta and Vasishta's sons. And Vasishta's sons retaliated. And suddenly they have been the scapegoat for this curse, and they have become the Chanda for and Vishwamitra custom that for 1,000 births you will be born as a Chandala as well as cannibals. You will be wandered as cannibals, which they curse them. And everyone out of fear, they came, they chanted the mantras, and they all did what Vishwamitra has expected. And they didn't care about Trisanku. They are least concerned about Trisanku. They were care about Vishwamitra. Since he is a Rajarshi, he will also curse me. I don't want to waste this Janma as a Chandala, as a cannibal. So better, for the sake of money, I'll be given a large sum of money. For the sake of money, I will do the yajna. If it's fruitful or not, that is his problem. Why should I bother? Better I chant the mantra with a very good swara. With a fine reciting of swara, I will chant the Veda. By chanting the Veda, that if it is benefit, it will let it benefit him. So they were insensitive. They were only focusing on the money as well as the mantra. And everyone has chanted. A heap sum of money have been given to all the purohits, all the rishis who came all over the world. And suddenly, by Vishwamitra's Shakti, Trishanku went to Swarga. And at that time, Indra kicked him out. And and Vishwa and Trishanku was neither in this world nor in Swarga. He was standing like a bat, like how a bat would be standing upside down while mounted on a tree. As in Tamil say, Andratra Vavval Vai Tongaran, we say in Tamil. Like that, Trishanku was standing. And Vishwamitra he has created a different Swargaloka. He created different artificial Swargaloka. In that he plays one person as Indra. He has created everything. He has created scenery exact to what in Swargaloka. And Indra came that Maharshi, I know your tapas. Please resolve it. I can't tolerate another Surga. Because if there is another Surga, that person will say, I am Indra, and he will also fight with me. I can't tolerate this Devasura Yuddha. Every day, every year, every day, we both have a fight match, boxing match is going on. So I can't tolerate another Devas fight. Better please resolve this problem. Better please destroy this Surga and make him sit in some other place. I can't offer him. So Trishanku was ready. He was slowly descending down, and next place he'll fall in the Havan. So he was slowly descending down. At that time, he surrendered to Vishwamitra. Maharshi, please save me. If you leave me, I will fall in this Havan. Please save me. And he said, Tishta. By his tapas, he made Trishanku stood in one place. And that is called Trishanku Swarga. Trishanku Swarga means a person who is neither in best position nor in his actual position. He would be standing atop. And that is the fallacy word called Trisanku Swarga. For that also, he has wasted thousands of years for helping Trisanku. And another thousands of years he has wasted for saving Surashepa, as he has been given for a sacrifice since he was his uncle, because of his mother who was his sister, because of his persistence, because of our request, he has saved Surashepa. And he also forced his children to escort him, and his children retaliated. They all refused. So Vishwamitra gave the same curse what he gave to Vasishtha to his children. In that also 1,000 years of tapas have been vanished. And he was firm that somehow I would attain the state of Brahma Rishi what Vasishtha have acquired. I want that. And he was adamant, and he was stubborn. He couldn't let go of it. So he did another 1,000 years of tapas. And suddenly, after completing his tapas, all the devatas, they all tried to disturb his tapas. No one could do that. And suddenly Indra came in disguise of a Brahman, as he asked for alms. So whatever food Vishwamitra had partaken, he gave everything to that beggar. He knew that it was Indra. So Indra came and blessed him. All the devatas blessed him and called him Brahmarishi. And he wanted that Brahmarishitvam na sandeha. And Vishwamitra, partial mind, he accepted it. And he said that, apart from you, I would accept that I'm Brahmarishi only when Vasishtha says I'm Brahmarishi. Only when Vasishtha approved that, yes, he is Brahmarishi. If he approved from his mouth, if it has come, then I would proudly laud myself as Brahmarishi. By your praises, I would accept it. Because you came in agenda that if I do 100,000 years of tapas, I will be disturbed. And you have accepted your defeat. So you called me as Brahmarishi. That's why the better way that I have told, better way that I want Vasishtha to approve me as Brahmarishi. That's why in Tamil there is a word called Vasishthar Vakkal Brahmarishi. Because to those person who couldn't accept you, who couldn't accept your talent, who couldn't accept your stature, to them you get the certificate. That is called Vasishthar Vakkal Brahmarishi. From Vasishtha's word, he has received the state of Brahmarishi. That shows that persistence the person must have. In his tapas, Vishwamitra has shown. Like that, we have to show in our sadhana. While you're doing bhakti to Bhagavan, we must not be mesmerized by the merits, credits, and all the papa karma, whatever the surroundings might happen. Something unearthly might happen. We must not sway away from that. That shows the mental stature of stability of Vishwamitra, which Sadananda praised in front of Rama and Lakshmana. And at that time, the, they have told him the incident that they are conducting a very big Dhanur Yaga. They are ready to break the Dhanush. That is Lord Shiva's Dhanush. He was about to use that for Tripura Samharam, to slay the Tripurasura. And that time, Muppuram Yeriseida Achidam Murenda Achadu Purisei Adira. Just by his laughter, just by his pleasant smile, he has burned the three asuras, that Tripurasura. Hence, it received the name of Tripurari. As a result, this bow, it has become, it was of no use. So, he had gave to the descendants of Janaka Maharaja as of now. And he has gifted them. And at that time, Janaka Maharajas conducted a very big Dhanur Yaga, such that hundreds and thousands of people from all over the country, they have attended this yaga. As of now, no one has handled this Dhanush, and no one has lifted this Dhanush. And some people who are Shiva Bhakta, they bowed to them and they went to their own place. And everyone was speaking about that Dhanu Yaga, and he had the problem that, and he was very worried that no one were there to marry my daughter Sita. So he has conducted this Dhanu Yaga, and at that time, Vishwamitra Sudharmatma Shutva Janakabhashitam Vatsarama Dhanupasya Itiragama Bravit Vatsarama Dhanupasya. And Vishwamitra, by looking at Rama, look over there, look at that bow. And suddenly Rama understood what Vishwamitra had meant. That Bhavanja Dhanur Madhye, and one hand he had he had closed the thread of the Dhanush. Another hand with his leg he had clamped on it, and with another hand he had just pulled it. Just a gentle pull he put. That Babanja Darurmadye, it has broken into two halves, like how an elephant has crunched the entire sugar cane. The similar way Rama broke the Dhanush. And at that time, Sita was very ready. She was ready with the garland to marry Rama. And at that time, Rama requested Janaka Maharaja that I need my father's approval. After my father's approval, then the process will then the marriage process, the function will take place later. By his request at that time, it has reached over Ayodhya, and Dasharatha came along with his all his family members, and he had 350 wives. As Ayodhya Gandhava has said that Ardha Sapta Shatani Ashtam. He had three for half of the 700, that is 350 wives. Amidst the 350 wives, three are the royal queen, three were the royal queen, and they were crowned queens. And everyone has come, and all the people came, including the preceptor Vashishta came. They both have came because here Shatananda is the Purohit of Janaka Maharaja's Bhavan, Janaka Maharaja's kingdom. And here Vashishta is the royal Purohit of Ayodhya. Both extends their pleasantries. And Shatananda told about Janaka Maharaja's clans as well as his Gotra, as well as all his biodata, as well as his daughter name. Similarly, Vashishta told about his Rama's descendants as his forefathers. Rama's forefathers. And both have said, and at the time came, that is in the month of Panguni. In Tamil you say Panguni. And at that time it is Uttara Palguni Nakshatra. In that Uttara Palguni Nakshatra, in that Panguni Uttara Nakshatra, in the Panguni Uttara, in the day of Panguni Uttaram, Rama and Sita both they were married. At that time, Valmiki has said about a Sita's arrival. Atas Sita Samaniya Sarvankara Bhushita Vidyutpaba Visalakshi Neelakunjita Bhuttada Hamsankitena Pitena Hamsankitena Saumena Kinstit Pitena Samvrita. At that time, Sitamma came. Her gait was compared to a swan. And many say that while Rama was was about to go for Dhanuryaga, and at that time Sitamma came, both exchanged pleasantries, and the people from that Michila side, they were looking at Rama, and they said that he is the equal match to Rama, he's equal match to Sita, and some on Rama's side, and some people from Ayodhya, they looked at Sita and they said, she is the equal match to Rama. And both of them, on both the people, they were all mesmerized. They all were looking at Rama, and Rama was stunned, and Lakshmana was totally perplexed. What can I do? How can I rescue my brother? He was glancing on Sita, and how can I tell him to enter the dais? So slowly Lakshmana touched Rama, and then Rama came to regained his sense and suddenly went to Dhanuryaga, which many people say in Kambaramayana it is said. So that at the time Amsangitena Pitena Kinspita Samvita, during the marriage Sita came at that time, and she was wearing a yellow dress embroidered with swan, and she walked like a swan, which Valmiki said. And at the time, both were ready. In the marriage hall, both were ready. And at the time, both of them were doing the austerities as orchestrated by Satananda and Vashishta. Both were doing, both were in the marriage ceremony. And at that time, Rama clasped Sita's hand. And at the time, Janaka Maharaja kept his hand. Iyam Sita mama suta sahadharmachari tava pajikcha sena abhadram te panim grinnishva panina. And he highlighted Sita's divine attributes. Iyam Sita mama suta sahadharmachari tava. And she always follow you. She will follow you because she is yet to be married. Since they clasped their hands, as a result, in the presence of Agni Bhagavan, both of them are designed as husband and wife. They are designated as husband and wife. Sahadharma Charitava. Iyam Sita Mamasuta Sahadharma Charitava. She would always other you as a Sahadharma, as a shadow. Like a shadow, she'll be always with you. That is what Raghuvira Gadyam it has started. Jayatyasita Santrasa Dvanta Vidvamsa Nodayaha. Prabhavan Sitaya Devya Paramavyoma Bhaskaraha. In Raghuveer Gadyam it is said, Prabhavan Sitaya Devya. Later she tells Ravana, Ananya Raghavenaham Bhaskarena Prabhayata. I am to is if you consider Rama as a sun, I am his sun rays. So you can't separate a sun from a sun rays, sun's rays. If you say like that, it's absurd. So Ananya Raghavenaham Bhaskarena Pravayata, which she further proves Ravana that I am always indebted to Rama. Sadharma Charitava. She proves Janaka's words. Pratiksha Chaina Madram Te Paningnishwa Panina. By saying that both clasped their hands in we say Panigraham. And Pativrata Mahabhaga Chayevanagadatava. She's a chaste woman. She's known for her chastity. Mahabhaga, she's most blessed one. Chayevanu gatatava. She would always follow you like a shadow, which I've told before. By reciting the mantras, both were married at the same time. Lakshmana was married with Mandavi. Shatrughna was Bharata was married to Lakshmana was married to Urmila. Bharata was married to Mandavi, and Shatrughna was married to Sudakirti. At the same day, four marriages had happened. And at that time, Parashurama came and he had heard of Rama. There is another person compared to me who had the same valor, who had the same Paurusha, and who can make the Devas stumble like how I made. There is a person equal to me. So he was ready to combat with Rama. And everyone went to their own places and they couldn't see Parashurama because he was the he was the he was an enemy to the Kshatriyas because he killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas who have killed his father, who was annihilated against Dharma. If you see a police doing adharma, who would counteract them? A common person will counteract them. Like that, Bhagavan came as a Brahman, son of Jamadagni, to counterattack Kartavirya Arjuna's atrocities, to pretend to him. That's why Bhagavan came as Parashurama by keeping anger as a prime quality. And at that time, here it is showing us that the micros there no. The micro will be adjusted, will be submerging to the macro part. That is what Parashurama and Rama both were in a dualism. Because the micro shows its own power. It shows that with that it is made. With that origin, it shows powers, it shows a tremendous power to counterattack with the macro. The macro exhibiting all the powers, it is always firm in its resolution. It is unperturbed. So Rama was unperturbed with Parashurama's anger, with his Shatra and with his Paurusha. He was unperturbed. And Parashurama was delivering astras on Rama. And Rama in return resolved it. And Rama had took one arrow. By keeping an aim on Parashurama, he further said that since you are a Brahman, if I kill you, I would get the Brahmati dosha. And you are age. I must not hurt you. Since you are possessing the anger as a primary quality, that primary attribute you are possessing it, are you ready to give your enough strength in this arrow, or you want to be slayed, which he has asked? And Parashurama said in folded hands that I will give all my tapas and all my power in over to this arrow. Then I don't want to be slaved. I'll be going for austerities, which Parashurama gave all his powers in that arrow. And that time, Dasarada wake up and you are seeing that did Parashurama come? And Vasishtha patted him and said, Parashurama went. So Parashurama has submitted all the powers to Rama, and at the same time, before leaving, he gave his Vaishnava Dhanush to him. And everyone were happy with Rama and Sita's Swayamvar. And later they all went to Ayodhya. And Rama was 13 years at that time, and Sita was 6 years at that time. Both were the day they got married. And they all stayed in Ayodhya, like how it was a Vibhushriya Vishnuriva Amareshwaraha. Like how Bhagavan, like how Sriman Narayana resides with Lakshmi in Vaikunta. The same Same situation. Similarly, Rama stayed with Sita for 14 years in Ayodhya, serving their parents. With that, I complete Sita Kalyanam today. That from the next section, we'll be seeing Ayodhya Kandam. Till now, Balagandam is completed. From the next section, we'll be seeing Ayodhya Kandam, that is Pitruvakya Paripalanam. Janaki Kanta Smaranam, Jai Jai Rama Rama, Sadguru Swaminaha Jai, Anjaneya Swaminaha Jai.
राधे राधे
राधे राधे जी.
फर्स्ट सूपर
राधे कृष्ण मामा.
राधे कृष्ण
मामा.
Today, Deepak,